cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today we have a milestone issue for you, number 50, Big 50, featuring the Huntress, also known as Helena Bertinelli. Interesting fact about this character really quick, she started out as an alternate universe character from Earth 2, where we had the same heroes, but they were all slightly different, and in that universe, Batman and Catwoman actually got together, got married, had a daughter named Helena, Wayne, and she became the heroine known as Huntress. They later adapted the character into this DC universe, the Earth 1 DCU, and that's the character we have here today, Helena Bertinelli. Similar circumstances to Bruce Wayne and the whole origin. Becoming a crime fighter, he sort of inspired her to do it. And of course, we'll cover all of that when we look at this version of the Huntress's magazine, which will tell us pretty much everything we need to know about Helena Bertinelli. And then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. A colorful character, a really dynamic-looking figure, not without its problems, but of course we'll cover that shortly. Sit back, relax, enjoy issue number 50 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Huntress. First up, the character section. And it's here we're introduced to Helena Rosa Bertinelli, who was born into an extremely wealthy mobster family that helped run the underworld of Gotham City. By the time she was 8 years old, she had grown to resent her father both for his violent behavior and for his connections to the mob. After her family was assassinated in front of her, she was sent to live with relatives in Sicily. After taking care of Helena for several years, Sal finally revealed to her that he was a hitman for the Mafia and offered to train her so that she could take revenge on those that killed her family. It was at this Christmas party when Helena was wishing she could take her revenge right then and there on all these mobsters that the Batman crashed the party. Although she was inspired by Batman, she definitely didn't have the same code of ethics that he did, becoming a violent vigilante in Gotham City. We also learn that despite their differences, the Huntress has aided the Batman on numerous occasions, including saving his life at one point during the events of No Man's Land. She also briefly dated Dick Grayson, also known as Nightwing. Finally, we learn that while the Huntress is one of the more violent vigilantes in the DCU, that hasn't prevented her from being granted membership into several superhero teams, including the mostly female team known as the Birds of Prey. Next, we look at a couple of the Huntress's classic stories. First up, the Justice League of America, issue 39. And this particular story takes place during the event known as World War III, and we find the Huntress doing battle with the villain known as Prometheus, ultimately losing to him. She's rescued by Batman at the last moment, and Prometheus flees, but Huntress pursues him foolishly and decides that he has to be eliminated because he's too great a threat. She stands there ready to kill him. Batman talks her down and revokes her membership to the Justice League of America, and it leaves the Huntress stunned and shocked. She doesn't kill Prometheus, realizing what she's sort of done, and this story actually had lasting effects on her character. We also have Batman Huntress Cry for Blood. And this 6-issue miniseries is the Huntress's origin story finally told definitively. It opens after she's been expelled from the Justice League, and now she's being framed for a murder she swears she didn't commit. And the only hero that'll come to her aid, at least at the start, is a hero known as the Question. And she tells him all about herself, and through flashback, we see her origins. It's a great, great story that gives us a glimpse into her psyche, her motivations for doing what she does, why she's so violent about it, and we even see the relationship between she and Batman growing and evolving as well. Huntress's allies and enemies features nothing but her allies, including Oracle and the Question. Finally, the Original Thinking section continues the DC timeline with Part 41, Circumstance and Coincidence. We first learn in AD 53 the Amazons of Themyscira are told by their patron goddesses to eradicate a colony of vicious vampires who have been feeding on the local populace. We also learn that while most of the Amazons traveled to Themyscira, some decided to stay in Ephesus in Greece, being led by the princess known as Artemis, who continued to roam the lands and free any enslaved women that they found. Finally, in AD 54, we meet a Grecian man named Marcus, who was framed for a murder he didn't commit and sentenced to die in the gladiatorial arena. Here we have the Huntress, Helena Bertinelli. A great character, really fantastic character. Love her origin story. Love all the different costumes she has, the sort of love-hate relationship she has with Batman. And this figure, for the most part, I really like. It's not perfect, unfortunately. There are some problems I have with it. One major problem, to be specific. But overall, I think it's really, really cool. I love the color scheme of Huntress. I love the black or very dark blue and purple motif with all the white highlighting. Really love her utility belt. You can see the definition on each pouch and the little snaps on each one. The yellow in the center there on her buckle, some straps and things. Love the pouches on her legs. I like how she has the bare midriff. I like this version of the costume, I guess, because it's the most interesting one. It's dynamic. I like the white, as I said. It's not like the solid dark jumpsuit that she kind of wears sort of currently. I also really love the crossbows. You know, her weapon of choice. And it's great that they gave her a pair. You can see they're really nicely detailed, a nice silver metallic paint for the arrows themselves, whereas the crossbows are sort of this dull brownish metallic kind of paint job. It's really, really nicely done. Overall, I like her. She's just got a major flaw that I'll talk about here in the Better Picture section. Huntress stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of her base features her name in a couple languages along with serial number. And so you can get a sense of scale. Here she is with fellow Birds of Prey, Catwoman, and Batgirl. A nice little group shot with the rest of the Outsiders. And a family portrait of the Bat family. Now, I hope it doesn't sound as though I don't like this figure. I do like this figure. I'm just disappointed in the figure. There are a couple of things that I feel are either missing or just kind of wrong that unfortunately keep her from being a really, really fantastic figure. We'll start, of course, with the good. Really love the costume choice here. Love the colors. Love the purple especially. I think it's a great shade. All the highlighting is fantastic. All of the white edges and trim are really, really cool. Love the cape especially. The way it's flowing, the way it's shaded. I love the white trim around the edge of the cape. Her boots are fantastic. They look like combat boots. They look armored, like she's ready to fight and you know, kick some butt. Love the knee pads. Her holsters on her hips and how they're empty because, of course, she's holding both of her crossbows. But it's a great touch, again, like the Blue Beetle who has the holster on his hip, but it's empty. It's just nice little touches like that that show they're paying attention that I really dig. Her utility belt is really cool and unique and at the same time reminiscent of Batman and Robin and their utility belts. I like the bare midriff look. I like that she's showing a little bit of skin. Again, it breaks the costume up a little bit. It makes her more interesting, I feel, instead of just a solid black jumpsuit. The crossbows are a great touch, really nicely detailed, very little bleeding on the edges of the crossbow as well, and you can see the arrows are totally solid metallic, and her hands wrap around, they're on the triggers, great details. Love the padding on her arms. Her mask is really, really great, how high it is. Her hair is also fantastic. I like how it's draped over her shoulders and down her back. Really, really fantastic. And her size, I think, is really nice, too. Helena's supposed to be statuesque. She's a supermodel when she's not superheroing. So, you know, her size, I think, is fine. The bad. Oh boy. Nitpick first. I wish she had her crucifix earrings. I wish she had a crucifix somewhere, either on the necklace in the center of her costume or on her earrings. I know it's not necessarily a part of this version of the costume, but I like it, and she just doesn't seem complete without a crucifix. The major problem I have with the figure is the face. I don't like the head sculpt on this one, really, at all. She is supposed to be a stunning beauty. Like I said, she's a model, or at least model-level beauty. So this figure is not pretty enough, unfortunately. And I know that sounds shallow and everything, and this is just not a very pretty head sculpt, unfortunately. That's the biggest problem I have with this figure. The ugly. Overall, it's really nice. You gotta watch those crossbows, though. The absolute weakest part of the figure are those arrows on those crossbows, man. They will snap off or bend very easily because, again, it's soft lead, so gotta be careful with that. Overall, as I said, I like her. I really do. It's nice to have her as part of the Bat family. I dig the costume, I dig the colors, it's nice, dynamic, it's a great pose, I love the weapons. It's just unfortunate that she isn't more attractive. It's just a better head sculpt would make this figure almost perfect for me, I think, aside from the little nitpicks here and there. But, as I said, she looks great with the Outsiders, she looks great with the Birds of Prey, especially when we get into more of the Birds of Prey, and any addition to the Bat family is a welcome addition in my book. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Huntress. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser of the next figure in the line. Another superhero, another member of the Justice League of America, another one of my favorites personally, and another great, colorful, extremely dynamic-looking figure to add to the line. So stay tuned for that. As always, I'm your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks so much for watching.